Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Fund, Flip, Repeat. I am your private money lender, Joel Kadlec, and today is a very, very special episode, guys. I have with me, no joke, the number one real estate agent in the nation, Ashley Kadlec, my wife. How you doing, Ash?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing good. Okay, obviously it's a little bit biased. I'm being silly, but wanted to have Ashley on. And again, my wife. So if we're recording this podcast, we're in different rooms right now. We both work from home. So hopefully there's not a lot of feedback. We're just rolling with it, guys. It should be a lot of fun. But one thing that I wanted to have you on for, Ashley, is obviously you have a lot of experience working with on-market, off-market investor agents. So you have been able to see both sides of it. And I think that is a really unique thing that you can provide as far as feedback or strategies or tips as we're talking to, flippers or guys that are looking to do the burst strategy. So from your perspective as an agent, like what would you say makes you that investor agent, or how have you fallen into that?
Well, I have fallen into it because of you, to be quite honest. But I think that, the on-market and off-market real estate worlds are very different, but there's a space and time in which they do collide to where you as an investor need an agent to sell your house. And so I think that there is a wonderful opportunity to create relationships within the markets that you're working as an investor, as to find yourself an agent who can be a team player for you, so to speak, to just be a resource for you, to be a guide, to help you with your numbers, to help you with your marketing, to help you know your areas and your comps and all of the on-market world things that you as an investor probably don't think about on the day-to-day, is to partner with somebody who is that's their day-to-day, and really make a good friendship and team so that you can continue to grow your businesses moving forward together.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it is about, building that team. So, and having, especially if you're doing flips or you're an investor, like having an agent who is actively also in investing. So understands not only from hypothetical situations, but actually doing it is super, super critical. So let's drill down a little bit more into the details here and talk about the selling process in general. Like traditionally, you might just go and list the house and set it up for sale, and then it's on Zillow, it's on the MLS. Like, is that what you do, or is there something different? Like, what do you do that might be a little bit different that's helpful that you've seen that works?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's you start with the relationship. So I think in a perfect scenario, you as the investor, you either have a property you've just renovated, or maybe it's like a personal rental property that you're looking to offload and sell it. Ideally you would want to make a connection with your realtor and say, hey, I'm thinking of selling this. Hey, I'm 50, 60 days out on a flip that we're doing. I have this coming up. Could we maybe plan to meet 30 days before, the project is complete, and talk about a game plan? I think that is super important. So for both parties, right? So that your agent can know, hey, I have this on the radar. I want to start looking at the neighborhood. I want to keep my eyes peeled for what's coming on market, what has sold. And start getting a game plan together of, we're going to have a listing. Let's get it going. So I think in a perfect world, 30 days before you're about to go on market, I think you should meet with your realtor, and that means meeting in person. I love to do a walkthrough of the property to see the project. And it's not for me necessarily to critique and say you've done this or that wrong. It's to get a feel of the layout, especially if it's a flip and a more extensive flip to where you've moved walls, you've done bigger type projects. I like to be able to see the quality of the finishes. I like to see and be able to give notes on, hey, what's your price point going to be? I think if that's going to be your price point, you maybe should consider adding this to the project, So I think 30 days out is a really good place to start. And then from there, we kind of make a plan. So do we want to do coming soon? When could we get this cleaned and get photos done? Is staging something that would be a great idea for this property? Is it within the budget to do so? What would that look like? And then, I think getting through the punch out and just keeping each other on track and working together to make sure that the project gets done on time and that you have a foolproof plan going forward. Now, I really love to utilize, especially in the busier markets, the coming soon period of MLS. So that is a period where you can list the property on MLS, but you don't have showings or offers during that time. What that does is it gives you like pre-exposure to the market. Buyers who are working with agents are able to kind of online preview that, and you can schedule showings ahead of time. So it gives us an opportunity to kind of market ahead of time. I think
So
photos.
would you do that like before the project is finished, or you're going to do that after it's done and then you're doing coming soon? Like why would you do that? What's the strategy there?
So in a perfect world, we walk through the house, it's completed enough to be able to get photos. Once we have photos, then we're able to do the coming soon period. Now, sometimes, depending on where you're at, and you might need to sell this really quick and you don't have time to where you want to do, pre-market it for 10 days, essentially. That's something that you can talk about on a case-to-case basis. But I think, project complete, punch out done, being able to get photos, having it cleaned, and then being able to do coming soon before it goes on market. And then using the strategy that my team likes to do. So the coming soon, and then we like to list it on a Thursday. Especially if we have the coming soon, we'll have an open house scheduled for that first Sunday on market. You really want to get the most exposure you can out the gate, especially in busier markets, and sometimes even in slower markets too. The more advertising and marketing and eyes on the property you can get as soon as you go out the gate, and having your project completed within that time frame is the most important thing too, so that it's ready to go.
That's super helpful. So basically what I'm hearing, I'm going to try to summarize some of this, right, is during the project, you want someone you have a relationship with who can come out there and point out things that you might want to consider differently, right? It's good to have the agent's perspective because they are walking with buyers and sellers, retail, all day, every day. So they know what the feedback is going to be, and they can look at it through their view, through their eyes, right? Like, hey, this is not going to be as important. Why don't you do this? Which is not only a thing to offer feedback and be open to that, but it's also a way to maybe save some money. This is somewhere where I get stuck is I'll go into a house. I always have all these, what I think are great ideas. And Ashley's going to be like, that's dumb, that's dumb, that's dumb. We don't need to do any of that. And it saves us like $5,000 on a project because I didn't have to do it. And it really wasn't a dollar productive thing. So if you're going to put a dollar into something, you want to make sure you can get, $2 back out. You don't want to be a dollar for dollar, a dollar negative. That's just kind of the way I look at it. But okay, so that's one part of it, right? And then you also talked about more of looking at listing a property through a strategic lens. Okay, I think this is important. I want to slow down and talk about this a little bit because it's not just going ahead and listing the property and seeing what's coming in, right? I think, I don't want to speak for all realtors, but I know there's plenty out there, that might just list it and they think that's it, right? I'm not going negative here, but there's so much more to it. And it's like these little incremental things can make a big, huge impact. So the coming soon is, like you said, the first week on market, right? It's your absolute best opportunity to get the best offer or the highest dollar amount. Obviously, the longer and longer you're on market, that seeds doubt. Hey, is there something wrong with the property? So you're building that momentum of coming soon. It's like that preview, right? It's like, big discount sale, end of the month. Like any marketing company or business, as they're building that momentum of like opening soon, coming soon, sales next week. So you're doing that for your house as well, right? And then that coming soon attracts the attention. People know what's happening. They might be able to plan, hey, let's go look at it when it's the open house hits this day, or I really like this one. Let me add it to the list. So you're getting those eyeballs. You're getting that, stirring the pot a little bit. And then here's what I think is interesting. Then you go ahead and list on a Thursday. Is that right? Did I hear that?
Yeah,
so why on a Thursday?
We like to do kind of midweek. It gives you enough momentum to still be able to get lineup showings for the weekend. As most people know, during the Monday through Friday, the majority of your showings, if you have them, are going to be in the evening when people are off work. So the weekends are typically your most active period. And so having it on a Thursday really gives you a good solid couple of days to get some exposure, to get some marketing campaigns going, and allow some time to start building your showing schedule through the weekend.
Okay. So we previewed with the open house. We do the listing on the Thursday. We do the open house on the weekend.
Yes.
Okay. And I'll say this too. It sounds like, it makes a ton of sense when you say this, right? It's like Thursday, again, that's a good day. You don't want to do it Monday. The excitement might drop off. All of these dates and everything that Ashley's saying is what she's not telling you is like, oh, this is very data driven. This is like true and tested from other companies, really, really big companies, people that we've talked to. And this is all statistical data. So it's like super important that, we feel like it's super important to do it this way because that really is a successful method and it's not just made up. So, okay, so now we are listed and you're having an open house. Is there anything you're doing with open houses?
Well, specifically with open houses, I think if it's a vacant property, I would love to have them for sure, at least on a Sunday from a 2 to 4. I think your timing is really important. 2 to 4 on Sundays is when almost every other agent in town is going to be having open houses. Does that mean that you can't do one from, 10 to 12? Sure, you can. But statistically, that's what we're going for is we want consistency. We want
people are in church. Yeah.
Open. Yeah. When everybody else is out and touring other houses. I just had one over the weekend for a listing, and almost everybody that came in said, we just came from an open house and we're going to others. You want to be somebody that is in line with what other people are doing and creating an open door for people. Now, if it is vacant, Saturday open houses are great as well. They typically don't generate as much traffic as the Sunday. So the Sunday is the staple. The Sunday is staple from 2 to 4. We're door knocking. We're putting signs out outside of the neighborhood. We're putting directionals through the neighborhood. We are doing targeted ads on Facebook. We are doing Facebook Marketplace. We are running ads anywhere that we can. Why? It's to get maximum exposure. You want the public to know this house is available. This house just came on the market. It is open. Come and see. And so open houses are a really great way to do that. And I know that a lot of people think that open houses are just for the agents and that they don't sell houses. And I can tell you, I have personally sold our own flip houses during open houses before. So it does happen. Yeah. And I think getting people in the door and being strategic about that is your best bet at getting it sold. And a lot of times you get a lot of neighbors, but what do neighbors like? Neighbors like to, have neighbors that they like, so many times I've come into where it's been a neighbor that's like, oh, my friend is looking in this neighborhood. Oh, why should send them their way? There's so many things that go into having a house that's open, and you always get people through. So I think the open house concept is really important. And then after that first, open house on Sunday after it come on market, especially if it's vacant, we would love to go ahead and schedule that next Monday. We want to get another open house in the system on that Monday. It does not benefit you at all if you decide very last minute on Friday, hey, can we have an open house in 2 days on Sunday? Can you do the open house? Yes. But again, what are we looking for? We're looking for results. We're looking for marketing. We're looking for opportunities to advertise and maximize. And so that next Monday, we want to have conversations about, hey, can we do an open house next Sunday? Again, let's get it in the system. And a lot of people don't know, too, that sites like Redfin, Zillow, Trulia, if they prioritize listings in their advertisings that have scheduled open houses. And so, again, it's just another boost and a tool that we like to use that's free to market your property and help get it sold. So.
Yeah, no, that's great. I like the strategic approach. I think all those little things add up to the best results, and that's what you want to have. If you're flipping a house and you've been working on this project for 6 months, give yourself the absolute best opportunity to get top dollar for it because you deserve it. You put in the work, and now's the time to get paid if you're flipping it or even if you're refinancing it, right? So that's totally the deal. Okay, now let's say we've done the open house and now you've got a contract. Let's talk about negotiations or conversations with the representing realtor and handling inspection issues, TRRs, right? Which are treatments, repairs, replace, or appraisal things. What happens on that side? Now we got a contract. What do we do now?
Well, so again, a huge part of what is so important for me personally as an agent is going through the walkthroughs and giving feedback on the project before it's ready for market. Is I am always thinking through the eyes of an inspector. And not only that, I think the price point really matters too. If you're on the lower end of the market with your after repair value, I think that it's really important to know going into it that statistically you have a higher chance of getting a buyer that's going to have an FHA loan, which is wonderful. But what do we know about those types of buyers? They typically don't have a lot of cash, so they're not going to be able to have money on hand to do some other repairs, right? And so especially if there's an appraisal requirement that comes up and you have to negotiate, hey, who's going to fix this wood rot? They likely aren't going to have the power to be able to do that. And so I'm always kind of going through the house looking for things that I know are going to be flagged for safety and hazard issues. Something as simple as not having the plate on the electrical panel, right? That's a simple fix, but that's going to get flagged. And so kind of saving you time and money there. Little things down to like window screens. If you just replaced all the windows in the house and they don't have window screens in them, that doesn't sound like an expensive fix, but it takes time, it costs money and it's going to get flagged. So like, let's get ahead of those things and prepare for those things ahead of time and have conversations about, hey, how old is the roof? I think the roof should be fine, but, let's look at numbers because this could be a problem. What is that going to look like if this has to get replaced before closing? And so knowing all of that information and having that game plan ahead of time is so important to when you're heading into negotiations, because always on my mind is your big ticket items, right? You want health and safety first and foremost. So if you know that there's big time electrical problems or things like that, you have to anticipate that those are going to be non-negotiables for people. Simple things down, you just kind of never know, right, how the agent or the buyer is going to view the inspection report. They're going to get an 80-page report, especially if these are older homes, and there's going to be a lot on there because there just is. Even with new construction home, there's going to be stuff that's on there, but you don't know how that agent is coaching them and guiding them. Sometimes they'll ask for, every single item that was noted by the inspector. And so how do we weed through, okay, these are superficial things. These are just light bulb changes. These are handyman type projects, and focusing on the things that are going to be the most important that any buyer is going to want. And that ultimately, hopefully aren't going to cost you a lot of money because you've already done that due diligence when, you were doing your project anyways. So in terms of negotiating that's where I like to stand. Major systems to be in normal working order. And then of course, health and safety type things, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, hot water tank, those sorts of things are always kind of the first to be negotiated, and everything else I try and drop off. But again, I think knowing your investor, knowing the situation with that particular property, there's a difference between, hey, this was a lipstick flip. We don't have a lot of room here. And knowing did we need to market this as is? You just don't know what situation you're going to find yourself in. So again, just having conversations about those things, especially when it comes to repairs and appraisal requirements before you get there, is really going to be key to creating a successful situation. Because I'll be honest, if you overlook something, your profit margin could get eaten really quick.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And all really, really good points. And I 100% agree. I also think like what you said there at the end is it's definitely a balance, right? Yes. So you could go through and you could flip the house and you could keep doing more and more and more, yes, right? But you also want to have this nice balance of, you don't want to go like so much on the cheap end where somebody's going to be walking through the house and say, oh, they flipped this house, but like they did not do a good job. They left the roof like, with a hole in it or something like that. And that's going to seed down too. Like people aren't going to want to move forward on that. So you have to find that right balance. Not only flip it to the right balance for the neighborhood, but that price point, the square footage, the layout, all of those things matter. So I think that's kind of what you were touching on there, is you could just go on and on and on. And if you get like a TRR, which is like, hey, these are the treatments and repairs we need to be able to close the house. It's like, that could be super lengthy too, depending on the project. Hopefully it's not too lengthy if you're doing a good quality flip. But let's say there's like 10 items on there and some of them are just like super, super silly. That's your decision if you want to go through that whole list. But sometimes you can check off some of the smaller things. And I just think everything is 100% open always for negotiation. And you want to have a agent on your side who knows how to handle those conversations and knows how to negotiate really, really well. So you don't want to, at the end of the day, you could say like, which agent is better at negotiating? It's some of this stuff for real. So you want to make sure that you have a shark and you have somebody, and I say shark as in like sharp, not in a negative way, to be able to negotiate on your behalf. Because if we're not dealing on off market, right? Off market, we're used to dealing directly with the seller, but when it's on market, we're leaving a lot of that important stuff in the hands of our realtor, which, that's giving them the control to be able to negotiate on your behalf. So to me, I think that's one of the most important critical things. And I know like you, Ashley, being an investor agent and stuff, you are very in tune with knowing how to hold those conversations and negotiate and kind of like sift through sometimes like, hey, is this legit? Is this BS? Like, how do I serve my client or my seller or my buyers to the best of my ability? So yeah, and that can
Well,
be tricky sometimes.
yeah, I think one thing to add too, and it seems so simple, but I list properties all the time, and I see this time and time again. The small thing of just the importance of having your agent as your seller representation there at the buyer's inspections, I think is so
Mm,
critical.
yeah.
I mean, as a buyer's agent, sometimes too, more times than not, I do not see seller agents show up to their sellers' inspections. And it's so much better to be able to hear from the mouth of the inspector, hey, this has to be on the report, it's not a big deal, versus, the opposite of that, and to where everything is alarming. And then you get this, this whole list of things that need to be repaired. But if you were actually there and you heard the conversations, you have a leg up because you're able to say, actually, no, the inspector said this was not a big deal. This is a simple fix. Let's not even worry about that. That should be crossed off. Let's focus on the things that actually matter. And if you're not there, you don't have that power to be able to negotiate and be able to stand strong and be able to prepare your seller too for what may come on the inspection. So I think
No, I
that
think that's a really good point because you're eliminating the need for playing telephone.
absolutely.
Like, hey, he said, she said this. It's like your agent, your representative needs to be there on your behalf to be able to hear it in real time and be able to communicate that to you. And that's going to be somebody that you trust, obviously. So, and it's the same thing on the front end with the open house. Like, it's not just being there to hold a house open. It's also there to extract information. So like we said, every little part of it is like has its own strategic benefit to maximize the end goal and the end result.
Yeah.
And at the open house, you're collecting information too. You might have those neighbors come by and they're just looking, or they're looking for, neighbors to place into the house, but they're also probably going to, be talking to each other like, oh, we really don't like this, or we really love this. This is amazing. I wish we could do this in our house. And all of that is like mental notes of like, okay, good. How can we improve? How can we, whatever the case may be. So, I think that's great. What about, and then one more question I wanted to ask you, because I think it's kind of interesting, is the virtual staging. Is that something that you do, you like? Does it not work? I mean, obviously AI is like crazy nowadays. So virtual staging is a thing. If you haven't heard about it, you can literally just like take the pictures that you have of your house and like virtually put in like, I don't know, rooms or something like that via software. So
yeah, I think that's come a long way. That's a tool actually that has been available in the on-market real estate community for a long time. And I think, like you said, with AI and just how things have kind of progressed, I think it has become widely more popular and it's gotten a lot better. I would say in the earlier days when I would use it, it would be a 50-50 shot of, can you really tell that this looks like actually staged, or can you tell that this was like a copy paste of graphics and it didn't look that great? But today, where we're at with being able to virtually stage, it's massive. And a lot of times too, guys, depending on what brokerage your realtor is with, that may be a free tool to them. That's something that you don't have to pay for. So a lot of times, you might be strapped for cash and you might not have the funds within your budget to be able to pay a physical stager to come and do that. Maybe that's something you're able to work out with your realtor. I don't know. But virtual staging is a tool. And I think that we have to remember in the digital age that we live in right now, everybody looks at homes online. You're not looking at them in a magazine for the first time. You're typically not walking through the house for the first time without seeing it at all. Everybody looks at things online, and you've got to put your best foot forward. And I think being able to use virtual staging is wonderful. There are so many different softwares and programs that you can use. You can choose the type of vibe that you want. If you want farmhouse, if you want contemporary, if you all the things. It's a wonderful tool to be able to use. And I think it in most cases, it's only going to enhance your space, especially if for some of these smaller flips that are real old, where the spaces are just kind of a little bit hard to imagine how you could have a layout of furniture. I think virtual staging is a really powerful tool. You
that's
laugh.
such a realtor way to say it. Hard to imagine. I'm going to say it's just a jankety space that looks super awkward. You better
for sure,
do
but
something
sometimes
about
you
it.
got to do it.
Yeah, it's like a weird addition gone wrong is what I would say. So anyways, okay.
Yeah.
Well, no, this has been great. So guys, yeah, market your properties like a beast. Make sure there's strategy behind it. Maximize your absolute top dollar when you sell these things, because you have put in all the hard work and effort into it. Make sure you have someone on your team that's doing this. It's just a no-brainer. Ashley, thank you so much for being on the episode. If anybody wants to connect with you or ask you more questions about, maybe their property, or they have a property they want you to get some eyes on or offer some feedback on, where can they find you? Where can they connect with you?
You can find me on Facebook. My team is the Cultivate Group with Epic Realty. You can also email me anytime at Ashley Kadlec at epic.me. Those are the easiest ways to get a hold of me, and I'm happy to give advice. It's a great partnership to be able to have with an investor, and I think that it can be really beneficial. And so I hope that this is helpful information to you.
Awesome. Bam. Thank you so much. And I'll leave that stuff in the show notes, guys. Really quick as a reminder, every fourth Tuesday of the month, we have our live meetup group from Fun Flip Repeat Facebook group. Would love to see you there, and have a great day. Peace.